Thank you for joining us today and representing Google on this very prestigious forum. We loved your thoughts. And just in continuation to that, I would like to ask you a few questions. The first one being, how can advanced technologies like AI, machine learning, and blockchain be utilized to track and manage natural assets and biodiversity, ensuring that the ESG principles are effectively integrated into corporate sustainable strategies? I know it's a long question, but the focus is on ESG principles and corporate strategies coming together.
Thank you, Reva. That's a very really good question, and the quick answer is that is a lot in terms of how advanced technologies can help with that. As everyone says, you can't manage what you don't measure, or what you can't measure, and part of the challenge with biodiversity and natural capital is that it can be hard to measure. You would think with satellite imagery, you could look at deforestation, etc., and you can. However, does that fully account for biodiversity? Because in the biodiversity, say in boreal forests, where it's usually a single type of tree, birch or pine, is quite different from 1 square kilometer versus 1 square kilometer of, say, virgin forest here in Assam. The biodiversity is completely different in terms of the number of species, the health of the species, and so I don't think we have an answer there. I'm not talking about Google. I'm talking about the best minds looking at this, because there's so many layers: the genetic diversity, the pace of change, the hydrology, etc. And there's promising work. I think we're keeping a close eye on work coming out of the Swiss University, the ETH of Zurich, that they're looking at an index that incorporates a lot of different data, satellite imagery and others on data collected from the ground, to try to come up with an index. They're still in beta right now, and many other great minds trying to do that. And rest assured, in order to really get that methodology right, they are working with what's on offer in terms of AI, machine learning, etc., to crack that problem.
Very interesting, I must say. And in your experience so far with Google, how can tech companies like yours leverage data analytics and cloud platforms to drive actionable insights? And by that, I mean, managing carbon footprints or the water usage, being more of a part of an inclusive circular economy. This more to do with biosensitive regions like the Eastern Himalayas or any other region that has a lot of native population. They might not have access to the best means of technology, but as a corporate, what is it that you can offer?
There are many layers to that question and how I could respond. But the first comment I might have is on carbon emissions, for example. How can we contribute to mitigation? I think the two ways there. One is we have lots of companies that are customers and partners that use Google Cloud, for example, and so it's really important for us to allow them to be carbon aware, because they are using our infrastructure, the cloud infrastructure, to train models, to develop applications and solutions. And all of these could have a lot of impact, which I'll get to. But the development of that code, of the data architecture, may not always be as carbon efficient or energy efficient as it could be. There's a whole lot of work going into green software techniques, which are important in terms of how you construct your code, to trim your data, etc. But it really starts with being able to know what difference did it make. And so Google, we provide a carbon footprint tracker, so when your code was executed, how much energy did it take, and then if you make changes, how does that change? So that way we allow ourselves included, our own developers, to be carbon aware, and that's when you can really optimize. The other part is that there are lots of opportunities to use cloud and advanced analytics to mitigate carbon emissions. So, and then specifically through the use of AI to improve predictions and information and optimization. So there was a study by BCG that came out last year, and they did an extensive survey and research that showed that AI has the opportunity to unlock 5 to 10% of mitigation of current greenhouse gas emissions through the accelerated ability to provide insights and optimize currently available technologies. So what Google is hoping that as people use Google Cloud for AI, etc., that they are prioritizing the application of these technologies and these use cases. So I hope that gives you a sense. Thank you.
I think that gives a nice perspective as to what things might look like with AI growing and integrating into other platforms as well.
And I just wanted to also address your second point, which is a recognition that the Himalayan region and Northeast India is very biodiverse, and what is Google able to help with? One of this would actually it's really important to be able to connect with the local communities. Certainly in terms of biodiversity, they have the knowledge. They have lived along in the natural environment for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so they're really important as being part of the solution. But you need to be able to communicate with them, to engage them. And so being able to communicate in local languages is very important, and I'm pleased to say that Google, through Google Translate, has actually many language models that include languages spoken in this biodiverse region, such as Assamese, Nepali, and I also learned Mizo, is it Kasi, as well as even Meitei, which are languages that are not commonly encountered outside of this region, but through the power of AI and large language models, if Google were to be able to provide that opportunity for NGOs and technology startups to engage and use generative AI, but with the output, with the engagement, the user experience being in a local language, that we believe will certainly help improve or accelerate and catalyze initiatives that can really make an impact in a biodiverse region like Northeast India.
That's interesting. Another thing that I just wanted to ask, and this is more generic, what roles do corporate-led initiatives play when it comes to conservation, and how important do you feel is corporate participation in the larger realm and discussions around conservation globally, more to do with the APAC region that is quite diverse in itself, be it geographically, from a biodiversity standpoint, and even, as you just mentioned, when we are talking about the northeastern part, that's a very small part if you map it in the APAC region, but it is so diverse and so niche in itself. So the role of corporates when it comes to conservation.
That's a really, really, really important question that many companies are asking themselves, and they're getting some help because I think they're as a result of a lot of advocacy work. There are standards and disclosure requirements that are coming down the pipeline that many corporates welcome and are getting ready to comply with. That I think will really raise the level of engagement and awareness, and which then allows more action to be taken. Specifically, you might have heard of the Task Force for Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, TCFD, which started back in 2015 after the to actually correct for some of the the missing elements in the Paris Agreement. But that has now a sister called TNFD, which is the Task Force for Nature-Related Financial Disclosures, which started in 2021, and that they have released recommendations that are now actually being endorsed by the European Union in terms of the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, and with the International Sustainability Standards Board being interoperable with these standards. I think this really puts a spotlight on nature-related risks and opportunities for corporates. So, larger companies welcome this. At Google, it's still early days, but we're very much aware of the potential impact we have. That's it. We have data centers, we have some manufacturing. At this point, we would not locate those in biodiverse areas, but that's not true of all business models in corporations. Some grew up in areas that have these concerns. So we support this trend, which has a whole methodology around looking at locating your interdependencies with nature, evaluating what that means to your business model, and then assessing and then preparing to mitigate your impact. So this, we think, is a helpful direction for corporates to really have a better understanding of their own interdependency with nature. And once that is well understood, then the risks and opportunities become clearer and can be acted upon.